Imani Cheers is an assistant professor of media and public affairs at George Washington University here in Washington, D.C., and she's joining me now to continue our election discussion. Let's talk about African Americans. There was so much talk prior to today about just kind of this enthusiasm gap. We weren't seeing as much of a turnout as we did in the last election for Barack Obama. Talk to me about that. Do you see that as an issue as we look at tonight as the hours progress?
It's a great question. And I actually don't think, when the exit polls reveal, I believe African Americans and minorities in general are truly going to be the deciding demographic in this upcoming election.
What about what we've seen in terms of some of these states? I've read a lot about suddenly maybe you went to the school library and now it's in the local jail or something like that. Also, miles away from where you normally live, that in states like North Carolina, other states, we've seen. Talk to us about some of these limitations that may be driving that number down as well.
I think the reality is that, in particular in North Carolina, as you mentioned, there were recent floodings and a number of polling places due to the damage from natural disasters have now moved polling places. And as you just mentioned, where before it was down the street from you, now it might be a couple miles away, which clearly has an impact on people with transportation, just time in their day getting off. So I think what we're going to see is that although there's some challenges that a number of communities, in particular African American communities in the South are facing, I am really confident that we're going to see large numbers, in particular amongst Black women and definitely amongst millennial minorities, especially Blacks.
You voted early.
I did.
You waited in a long line, right?
Yes.
But you're not alone. I mean, I was looking at the numbers from Florida. They're seeing more votes, early voting, than they saw in the 2000 election. It's remarkable, isn't it, what we're seeing?
It is absolutely fantastic. I have always been pro early voting. I think it's a great way that for individuals who either A, might have transportation or work constraints that they can't get off on that Tuesday, have an opportunity to vote before actually election day. So for me, in the state of Maryland, I was able to vote last week, and it took a little while, but I think we are seeing record numbers. There are people in Florida, and particularly in the Miami-Dade County, who were waiting up to 5 hours to vote. And I really believe that this is going to show historic numbers as we look back on tonight's election.
Hispanics, they are also going to be critical in states like Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Florida, you mentioned as well. Talk to me about their numbers, because we're seeing that in large numbers, aren't we?
Oh, 100%. That is definitely a demographic that has always, I mean, Hispanics are the largest minority group in the United States, and their numbers are astronomical at this point, well higher than they were in 2008 and 2012. Early voting, and we're seeing, as you mentioned, Nevada. I have a number of friends who are out campaigning for Hillary Clinton in Nevada, and the positive responses they were seeing between yesterday and today, it's really inspiring to see how many people who might have been disenfranchised and not engaged in previous elections are coming out in droves.
You used the word inspiring, and I remember in 2008, people moved to tears, African Americans who never thought they would see an African American move up to the presidency. One would think a historic election, perhaps the first woman elected. I don't see that. Is that just me not talking to the right? I mean, there are some who obviously are very excited, but not to the degree that we saw. Is it because the themes are different, because this was such a bitter campaign and Obama ran with hope and change, and this time it's just been a slugfest? I
think you hit it right on the head. Unfortunately, this has been such a negative campaign for at least the last 6 months that it's really just turning off anyone who would naturally be really enthusiastic about it. You cannot take away the momentum around the fact that if Hillary Clinton wins this election, she's going to be the first woman to be president of the United States, and that is huge. We're talking about within a century of women even having the right to vote. So while it's a major feat, I think that they were just on election fatigue. People are tired. People are really upset about how negative this campaign has gotten, not only amongst the candidates, but it's even turning, you kind of against your neighbor and your cousin and your colleagues and people who, once you find out who they're supporting, then all of a sudden then that turns into bickering. So I'm hoping that the rhetoric has changed, at least for Secretary Clinton. Hopefully I'll be able to say President Clinton, but the rhetoric has changed. And the last couple of days and weeks in particular, she has been moving towards unity, calling for hope, not as pessimistic an outlook. And I'm hoping that that's going to make people really, really excited about what we're going to see tonight.
Well, whoever wins, they've got a difficult task ahead in terms of bringing this country back together, because it's definitely split. Imani Cheers, thanks so much.
Thank you.